Hi, I'm Lisa Donovan, co-director of brainworks, the Berkshire Regional Arts Integration Network. Today, the brainworks team and I are going to share with you a creative movement strategy that you can integrate into lessons in your classroom. Among the teachers we work with, this creative movement strategy is a favorite because it's so flexible. This strategy is also featured in Shell Education's book series, Integrating the Arts Across the Curriculum. The strategy is known as movement phrase. A movement phrase is when students create a series of connected creative movements that illustrate an idea, process, or series of events. Let's take a look at how to implement this strategy into your classroom. And as we go, watch for evidence of learning in science and dance. Imagine that we're part of a middle school science class, and we're learning about the 3 ways thermal energy transfers. The teacher has assigned this group to create a movement phrase that illustrates the concept of convection, the process by which heat transfers through a liquid or gas, caused by molecular motion, where colder portions sink and hot portions rise, producing circular motions. First, this group should spend time deciding which artistic choices they want to make and how they'll incorporate the elements of dance, which should be discussed ahead of time. In a movement phrase, you can take a set of ideas and string them together through movement. The movement phrase works really well with a set of ideas that belong together, a sequencing of things, or in this case, a definition with several concepts. Invite students to identify key ideas in the definition and explore movement ideas for each concept. After selecting a gesture or full body movement for each of the main ideas, ask students to link them together through intentional transitions. When you have nonfiction text that's dense or heady, exploration through movement can help to access the qualities or characteristics of ideas. Now, let's see the movement phrase that this group has developed. Convection. The process by which heat transfers through a liquid or gas caused by molecular motion, where colder portions sink and hot portions rise, producing circular motions. Convection. How are the dancers in this movement phrase communicating the understanding of convection? First, notice how the dancers in this movement phrase are shaping their body as they move to communicate the characteristics of each key idea. Heat, transfer, liquid, gas. They will discuss their choices in the final debriefing. Let's also notice how the dancers used the space. They moved through space and changed levels. At different times through the movement phrase, dancers were stretching and bending through space. Think about how much more visually interesting it is to see dancers changing levels. Pay close attention to how the movements are linked to one another. In other words, consider how each movement transitions to the next. All of these components, the shapes made by dancers' bodies, the use of space, the use of action and energy, are elements of dance. Teach these concepts and practice them with the class before embarking on the lesson. Once groups have had the chance to perform their movement phrases, don't forget to have a class discussion about this arts integration strategy. Ask the audience what they observed or learned from the performance. Ask the dancers who performed to describe their artistic process, What movement choices did they make to communicate the ideas and why? What science ideas were incorporated, and how did movement amplify these concepts? How did they problem solve when they got stuck? What was most challenging about making a movement phrase?
So what did we think about the definition of convection?
There were a lot of parts to the definition. We actually ended up underlining 12 words.
Some of the words implicated other words in the definition, so the molecular motion isn't a thing on its own. The process is caused by molecular motion, so you have to link the motion and the cause.
Like they transitioned fluidly from one word into the next, so it almost became one movement.
Got it.
Where a movement ended definitely influenced where the other one would start. Those transitions came really naturally.
I think we were really mindful about levels. And then at the end, when we were doing the circular motion, it was actually really fun to move through the space and play around with how we wanted to change our formation and move around.
I think that was
Here are a few final ideas to help you use the movement phrase strategy successfully in your classroom. Start by taking small steps together as a class. Warm up by asking students to generate non-locomotor movements with just their arms, and then move on to whole body locomotor movements, moving through space. Or play a simple follow the leader game where students can mimic each other's movements. You don't need music to create a successful movement phrase, but it can be a valuable addition. Consider asking students to make their own music to accompany a movement phrase. Playing simple percussion instruments like rain sticks, maracas, or thumb pianos can lead to creative discoveries. Remember to collaboratively explore how to use the elements of dance intentionally to make the movement phrase successful. Nearly anything that has a sequence can be a jumping-off point for a movement phrase. The life cycle of a frog, a story's plot points, a historical timeline, the water cycle. Think about recording the group as they perform their movement phrase. Students can go back and watch their creation and self-evaluate their work. You'll notice that in arts integration, you don't need to leave the process to assess learning. Assessment is built right into the strategy itself. The planning students engage in as they create their movement phrase provides opportunities for teachers to assess learning throughout the strategy. Inviting students to provide peer feedback after each movement phrase is shared will provide yet another lens on what's been learned about the content and about creative movement. A debriefing conversation at the end of the process allows students a chance to explain their thinking. It solidifies academic concepts for them and helps you to evaluate the comprehension of the topic. We hope you'll try movement phrases in your classroom. If you liked this video, be sure to check out other tutorials from BrainWorks, how to use Tableau in your classroom, and how to use Soundscape in your classroom. Visit us on the web at brainworks.mcla.edu. Thanks for watching.